Express 106.5 FM. The number one FM talk radio station in the Inland Empire. KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Express 106.5 FM.
Hey everybody, it's that time again. We're going to do the International Wealth Builders Association.com radio show and podcast. What is International Wealth Builders Association.com? Well, it's a high-quality real estate investment club, okay? I'm your host today, Patrick Hunter, and I have a company called Megalithic Coaching and RealtyMavericks.com. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about creative financing and creative deal structuring. And we're going to give you the elements of what a binding deal is, okay? So also after that, we're going to have a segment on a Costa Rican B&B with our guest, Claire Cheney. She's going to tell us all about that and what your options are as far as what's going on in the market. I'm going to do a segment in a third segment. I'm going to get a hold of your attention and tell you the updates of what's happening in the real estate market locally and nationally. So let me kind of give you an overview of what International Wealth Builders Association is. It's basically a group. It's a new real estate investment club and group where we bring like-minded individuals together in a wealth-based network, and our aim is to effectively elevate the lifestyles of our members, and also in turn they're going to improve the lifestyle of the communities that they're in. The quality of all the communities and education. Our purpose is with the International Wealth Builders Association.com is to provide an open, friendly, networking environment where investors can thrive through the exchange of ideas and get great education, tons of education. We're also going to provide them with a plethora of referrals and resources. Anything from like a painter on up to a project manager, to somebody to partner with, all the way up to big developers and big builders. You name it, they're gonna be there, and we have the connections to help you. If you're a beginner on up to a billionaire developer, we're gonna get that out there for you, okay? So what does that mean to you, and who are we really? We're basically bringing everybody together for fix and flips, mega projects. What do we talk about? We talk about commercial, we talk about residential, we talk about development and entitlements. Entitlements is where you actually get a property to go from dirt to where you can actually build something on it, and that's a very, very lucrative process by itself, is the entitlements. So that's something that you really want to learn about. We do land, we can tell you about wholesaling, rehabbing. What's going on with the rehab market is that the market is slowing down a little bit, but I'm going to get a little into that in a little bit in the third segment. And you should go on to International Wealth Builders Association.com, log in and become a member right now before it gets too expensive. And we do have a lot of people that are signing up. So go to internationalwealthbuilders.com, International Wealth Builders Association.com, and become a member, okay? So who am I and why should you listen to me? Well, I'm a broker, a real estate broker for 17 years. I've actually been licensed in real estate since 1985. In all areas of real estate, I've actually done remodels, I've done design, I've done staging and lending, mortgages, with hundreds of deals of all different types that I've done and assisted with. I've been a speaker, a coach, an author. I've written many workshops and seminars over the decades for top corporations, BMW, IBM, Merrill Lynch, C21. So I've been around and I've done a lot of these things. But today we're going to talk about creative deal making and creative financing, because that's going to be the key to what's coming up in this crazy real estate market that's changing rapidly. It's changing so fast. The interest rates have leveled out, which is a good thing. And I'm going to talk about that a little later on. But my philosophy when it comes to this industry, I've done all kinds of deals, but my philosophy, it's always good to leave people better off than when you found them in the deal, and everybody's got to come out a winner. So that means you got to be ethical, you got to be honest at all times, and you got to achieve what everybody's outcome wants to be. That's really important. Now, let me tell you, first of all, one of the interesting things that you got to know is in order for it to be a deal, you have to have certain elements in the contract. You have certain elements to make a binding deal in real estate. But I just want to tell you, I am a real estate broker. I am not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. You got to do your own diligence for any of these things. I'm not an investment advisor, but I am a real estate broker, so I can talk to you about the things that I am eligible to talk to you about, which is a contract and a deal in real estate. First of all, you have to understand that when you're making a deal in real estate, one of the things that you got to have is what's called consideration. What is consideration? Well, consideration can be a down payment. It can be something for trade for services. It can be, you can use anything as consideration as long as it's accepted by all parties. One of the important things also is you had to have competent parties capable of legally consenting. Are they even the owner of the property? I'll tell you a few deals when I get through with the elements of the deal that I did when I started out in real estate and how I got into some creative financing. So you have to have a lawful purpose. What are you doing with the house? Is it going to be transferred for sale? It doesn't mean you're going to make a pot farm out of it or one of those things. You want to make sure that you have legal consideration. All parties are competent, which means they have to be over 18. They can't have dementia. There's a lot of things that they have to be competent enough. They have to know what's going on. You have to have an agreement. What is an agreement? Agreement is a meeting of the minds. You have to have everybody on board at the same time. And I can't tell you how many times that I've come in and cleaned up deals with other agents where they did not inform their client as well as they should have. It's really important that everybody is on the same page and you do a thorough job of explaining exactly how the deal's going to go, who's going to get what, how much money they're going to get, what's happening. Is the house going to be sold in 30 days, 40 days, which is another thing you have to make it a binding agreement. It has to be in writing and it has to be dated. That's one thing that you have to understand. So you got to have consideration. I've done deals where consideration was a car. I've done deals where consideration was $50 to start, and then in 30 days, I would give them another $5,000. That's the beauty of creative financing. Creative financing is basically when you use other than conventional financing. Conventional financing is when you go to a bank, you get a loan. It could be a conventional loan with a regular bank. It can be a government loan backed by FHA, VA, which, by the way, just to give you a little update on the forbearances, you still, if you have a pandemic-related hardship, you can still get a forbearance. A lot of people think they are over. They are not. You can actually still do one if you have a government loan and you have a hardship. So talk to your lender, see what's going on with that. They just do still have the people that are going to be able to help you with that. So you have to have a signature. You have to have a date. You have to have an agreement. The deals that I see that go sideways, I mean, you can literally give somebody $1 and a pack of cigarettes, and that can be consideration, and you can buy the house. They can actually deed the house over to you. There's a lot of that is going to be going on, and they're going to be doing what's called AITDs, which is an all-inclusive trust deed, or a subject to, which is subject to existing financing. Well, are the banks happy about that? Well, no, because right now everybody has equity and they can sell their house. So that's not going to be a real problem, and the short sales are going to come back. But because everybody has equity, that's not going to be a real problem for that to happen. One of the things you got to know is if you are doing a creative deal, creative financing, there's this little thing called a due on sale clause. Most contracts have a due on sale, loans have a due on sale, which means that if you change title, give the title to someone else, sell your house without taking the financing off or paying off the financing, they can call your loan completely due. Does that happen? Most likely not. there's lots of ways around that. And if you want to contact me, I can go over that. If anybody's in this situation, I'd be happy to help you with that. But I'm going to talk to you right now about some of the deals that I did when I first got started. When I was in my 20s, I bought my first house. I was barely making any money. I had a young family. I just started learning about real estate. It was back in the mid-'80s. And I bought my first house in Mission Viejo with a lease option. Now, lease option is a great way for somebody to get in and lock in a price on a house, because you can negotiate the price that you're going to pay for it when you buy it, and you get to lease the house and make your payments. And your payments, you know what your payments are going to be exactly. It's not like you're renting, and they can keep bumping your payments, which is another reason why it's so much better to own than it is to rent, because you're going to get tax write-offs. They can't raise your rent, and you can sell it if there's some money to be made on the house. So what I did when I had my young family in Mission Viejo is I talked to the guy. The guy was renting it out, and I said, would you be interested in selling it to me? And he goes, well, I just bought it and fixed it up, and I'm renting it out, so I don't think so. And I said, well, what do you think it's worth? And the guy told me what he thought it was worth. And I said, well, how about if I buy it from you 2 years from now at a 15% above that price, asking price? How about if I buy it from you at that? And he says, well, let me think about it. So he says, okay, I'll do that, but I want it to go for a year and a half. And I said, well, that's cutting it a little close, 18 months. I said, if you do it for 2 years, I'll give you 18%. And so but even back then, I was a good hustler, a good negotiator. So it was really important for me to get that house for my young family and not pay rent. I didn't want rent going up and up and up. So the thing is that you have to be able to understand that when you're being creative, what does that mean? You've got to be creative on all sides. Anything can be creative. The length of the deal, the terms of the deal, that's what we call in the creative financing industry, real estate, is terms. You want terms, terms, terms. Forget about cost. Forget about investment. You want terms. You want to make sure that it's going to be good for everybody, a win-win situation. And I'm going to tell you about a few other deals that I did. Last year, I did some very creative deals with a couple of my customers. I had one house that didn't appraise, and I'll get to that when we come back from the next segment. I'll tell you all about it.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Dafina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, DafinaMillerMortgage.com.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Real Men of Real Estate with Steve Matley, construction manager and real estate developer, business owner, and educator.
Did you know that right now there's 22,000 units deficit?
Tunde Ogunwale, real estate development professional, Naval Academy grad, and veteran with a deep understanding of the public sector process.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Brian Fox, real estate expert and investor, dedicated to helping hundreds of clients make money in real estate every year.
There's so much housing going in.
The builders are begging for more land.
Future company can come in, lease up space to employ those people who are living in the homes.
We have to put the housing in place.
That either we either have to have houses.
They want to make sure that there's a strong employment.
Logistics centers, things like information hubs. We are a shipping economy now. There's economies all over the country where their prices are doubling and tripling.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Association.com radio show and podcast. I'm here with our guest today. Our guest is going to tell us a little bit about a Costa Rican Airbnb. Is that correct?
Not really, but
not really. Okay, well, tell us what it's all about. Why Costa Rica?
Well, I'm sure you've heard of plenty of people who have moved there or want to move there or want a second home there.
Okay.
There's a reason for that, and it's because Costa Rica is very welcoming to tourists, for one thing, and Americans in general, and encourages people to move there. I think that the money's an attraction for them, and they get it. Yeah. It's a really smart country in a lot of ways. And
what do you think is the biggest benefit of moving to Costa Rica?
For one, you can own property. In a lot of Central American countries, a lot of people are aware that you can't actually own the company or the property.
Yeah.
Thank you, outright. And in Costa Rica, you can, so that's a big deal.
Okay.
And it's attractive, it's friendly, it's healthy, it's fun. There's lots to do. It's a nice place to live.
Now, what is your particular project that you're doing down there?
Well, we've got 10 acres on the Pacific coast south of Jaco, and my partner in this has owned this for over 20 years, and he decided now is the time. It is surrounded by beautiful countryside. It is easy. You're right by the water. And we've broken it up into lots and have been selling lots. We are also doing some building, so you could buy the house outright if you want to do something like that. There's a lot going on, but that's basically
so you guys are
how
coming in as
yes.
a developer now.
Yes, yes.
From somebody who actually owned the property.
Right.
Okay, great. So how did you find out about it?
Well, the person who owns the property has been a business partner of ours for off and on for a long time. So we've done other projects with him, and we knew he owned this. And last year I said, so what are you doing with Costa Rica? Are you moving on that yet? And he said, yes, we're ready to move. Do you want to?
Isn't it funny how when you talk to people and you find out what they're doing, and then you say, hey, have you thought of this? Are you ready to make a move on it? And then did he have an idea of what he wanted to do on it, or did you kind of explain it to him?
No, he's had the idea. He just had kind of waited for the timing, I think. He was trying to do it at a time when he was ready and the economy was ready.
So he owned the land outright.
Yes.
And then you guys split it up, and now you're developing it. How did you guys come across the cash to do that?
We have been selling the lots and using some of that money as to put in the roads and bring in the water and the electric.
How is it working with the government or the entities there to develop stuff?
It's working very well. One of the strengths we have is that we have a really good team in Costa Rica that we've known for a while. Esteban is a contractor, and manager of all the little things, including the city and the county, or however they work it, and getting all of that done, the minutia. And we have an architect and an attorney and actually even a bank, so that we've got everybody on the ground that's needed for this to be pretty seamless for the buyer.
So doing a project, it's really good to bring in the right help, would you say?
Oh, yeah. I've had the wrong help, so I'm sure of this.
I know we all have horror stories
Yes.
about that with projects. So how many lots is this thing going to be when you get done with it?
Well, it's about 30 lots. Originally, it was about 34, 32, and then as we
So it's a fairly large project.
looked at it, we
yeah.
realized we had to combine a few, so yeah.
So are you guys acting like the builder developer? You're actually putting houses on that, or are you just getting it through the development stage where people can put it on themselves?
It's a little bit of a mix. We are offering lots to those who want to go in and build, and offering all the building support that they need, including house plans, et cetera, and working with the architect, so that people can have something a little custom to themselves. We also are carrying the lot. If they want to build, we can carry the lot until the end when they refinance for the final loan. or
Okay,
pay
so you guys
cash.
are doing creative financing
Yes, we are,
with the
absolutely.
lots, and a little bit different for anybody who wants to do it however they want to do it, right? It's whatever you guys can come to an agreement on.
Exactly, and you were talking about creative financing, and basically, as long as it's legal, there's no negotiation you can't have, or there's no decision you can't make in regard
Right.
to these things, as long as everyone agrees.
Well, especially if you're the owner of the property.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can also get the rights to property and do that as well. And that's another thing that we can talk about with being creative, is
Right.
getting the rights to people's property to develop and making the owner of the partner as well, so that the owner doesn't have to do anything. A lot of people own land and have no idea what to do with it.
Oh, yeah.
And so if there's anybody out there in that situation, you can get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me at realtymavericks.com, and I can go over that and maybe give you some suggestions or even help you out with that or recommendations on that. So it's really important to understand that when you're developing something, that you get the right help, number one.
Oh, yeah.
Where would you start? Let's say you got the land. Where would you start if you're going to do a project? Who would you contact first?
Well, since I wasn't the one doing it, basically you need somebody to go out there and survey it.
Okay.
And then you need to get permission for through the different government agencies to break it into lots. And then each lot is assigned. In the U.S., it's an APN. Well, in California, it's an APN,
Yeah.
just a number that identifies that lot. And then you start looking at the utilities and talking to those people about how, when, how much, et cetera, and what's needed.
That's a really good point. Whenever you're dealing with raw land, you've got to make sure that there are utilities nearby, electricity and water if it's not going to be well. And in Costa Rica, it's probably well, isn't it?
Not for this. This is city water, but it is septic.
Okay. So you have septic, which basically is what you use on a plot of land. If you don't have a connection to a city sewer system, you're going to have a septic system. And those can vary in price based on size and what you want to do with it. Did you guys have to do perk tests on the land?
That part I wasn't involved
You
in.
weren't involved in the
I'm
engineering.
I'm going with
okay.
I guess so.
Okay.
Because it's very similar to the process in the U.S.
Okay, cool. Very cool. So when you guys get done with this project, you guys going to do another one in Costa Rica?
We're thinking of it. We've been looking at other bits of land. I know that Spencer has another acre that he wants to develop.
Okay.
And there's lots of opportunity there. Like I said, a lot of people do want to move there.
Are a lot of people, a lot of Americans still moving there? And,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you see a lot of that. Is there any plan, like big developments or resorts or anything that are going in that you're aware of?
I imagine so, and I know that there is something nearby, actually on the coast, like not on, back a little bit. So there are some things going on that look great. I mean, it's so far everything I've seen has been super positive.
How long ago did you guys start the process?
Less than a year.
So it's moving along pretty quick then.
It is. It is.
And did he have any kind of approval or anything before you guys started, or?
I think he'd already done the lot splits before when he first got it. He got that done. So he's kind of ready to roll and knew what he was dealing with.
Okay, so basically it was...
A lot of the engineering was done already.
That's really important. Cool. So let me tell you, let me ask you, is this something that people can call and learn about how it goes?
Absolutely. It'd be kind of foolish not to.
Because if you want to tell people what's going on with it, you probably want them to get a hold of you. Do you want to give out your phone number live? Why don't you just do your email?
Okay, let's go with email. You can also do joinmontereyescape.com, and that'll take you to our Facebook page.
That's probably best. Why don't you give that out?
Yeah,
say that again. What was that?
It's joinmontereyescape.com, and Monterey has like several options for spelling. So it's MONTEREY. So one
Cool.
T, one R.
And you're doing this with partners. You're not doing this alone, right?
Correct.
Okay. And when it comes to investing, it's probably a really good idea to get partners, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, especially for big projects, I find it really helpful. Otherwise, you sort of sit there by yourself stewing and making up problems instead of bouncing it back and forth and
So you would
them.
recommend coming to a place like what we have going, which is the International Wealth Builders Association.com, and come to one of our meetings.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I was going to say, with Patrick as a resource and with his years of experience, it makes sense to say, hey, here's what I'm looking at. What do you think?
That's right.
Because it'll save you all sorts of time and
Tons
hassle.
of headache. People have no idea what they're getting into until they get into it, and by that time, it's usually too late. They should have got help a long time
Right,
ago.
and some of the best advice is, no, don't do that one.
Yeah, well, there has been a lot of costly mistakes, that's for sure. I can tell you a few of them.
But that could be an entire program. Easily.
Absolutely. So tell us again what that website was.
It is joinmontereyescape.com.
And I'm Patrick Hunter. I'm with Megalithic Coaching and RealtyMavericks.com. And you can get a hold of us anytime there or get on our website at InternationalWealthBuildersAssociation.com.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
I love how New School is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about New School is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Real Men of Real Estate with Steve Matley, construction manager and real estate developer, business owner, and educator.
Did you know that right now there's 22,000 units deficit?
Tunde Ogunwale, real estate development professional, Naval Academy grad, and veteran with a deep understanding of the public sector process.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Brian Fox, real estate expert and investor, dedicated to helping hundreds of clients make money in real estate every year.
There's so much housing going in.
The builders are begging for more land.
Future company can come in, lease up space to employ those people who are living in the homes.
We have to put the housing in place.
That either have to have houses.
They want to make sure that there's a strong employment.
Logistics centers, things like information hubs. We are a shipping economy now. There's economies all over the country where their prices are doubling and tripling.
Hello and welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Association.com radio show and podcast. I'm Patrick Hunter, your host today. I have megalithic.us, which leads you to my coaching company, and I have realtymavericks.com, which is my real estate and investing information. You can get a hold of me at either one of those. But today I'm going to continue and talking about the deal elements and creative financing. I was talking about some of the deals that I've done. Well, last year I did a couple of very creative deals that saved the deal. I had a seller that had some land and a property, and they thought it was worth a ton of money. And then when they actually did I had a cash buyer who was coming in to buy the property, and when it got appraised, they did an appraisal. It came in $145,000 below what the value that she was offering it at. So I got very creative in my negotiating skills, and I talked to the buyer and I said, you know what, you really love this property, you really want this property. How about if I could get the seller to carry back the half of the financing? So he said he would agree to that because he really loved the property. He saw the future of it. He was actually thinking of making it into an Airbnb himself, which a lot of people are buying houses for Airbnb, but you got to be careful out there. The Airbnb investment world is great. You can buy a house and you can rent it out daily. However, a lot of communities have gotten very wise to this, and they don't want wild partying people in for a day or two in their neighborhood. And it got crazy in some places where they had maybe 4 or 5 of these investment Airbnbs on one street. And so the cities came up with ways to implement restrictions on that, and they said no more short-term rentals. So check with your city, check with where you're at or where you're thinking of buying something if you're thinking about doing an Airbnb. It is a very profitable one to do. You can rent out rooms in the Airbnb. If you have a second guest house in Airbnb, you can rent that out. Very profitable way to invest, and I can, if you come to one of our meetings, we'll be doing talking about Airbnb as well. It's a very lucrative way to invest. You just got to be careful because a lot of cities did change the rules. Now you can only have somebody stay for 30 days or longer. So check your community on that. Every city's different. They have different ways of doing things. And back to creative financing. Well, creative financing is anything that is non-conventional lending to buy the house. So if you have no credit, if you have bad credit, if you have a good job and can make payments but you don't have a down payment, can you get into a house? Yes, you can. And that's the beauty of this market here, is that it's changing so fast that sellers are going to be more flexible in the way that they want to sell their house. And I have investors who actually want to use their 401k money and do self-directed IRAs, which I have a company that can convert that for you as well, for a friend of mine that does that, so people can actually invest their money how and where they want. And that's another way that people can do. I have a program that I am putting together for those people, in classes for people who want to buy and people who want to sell, have a meeting of the minds. You know, you can do equity share, you can buy part of a house, you can buy all of the house. It really is great to know all these things that are coming back. I used to use them in the 80s and the 90s, and then as properties changed, restrictions, we had the market crashes. We had the 2000.com crash, and we had the 2006 real estate crash, and that kind of created the CFPB, which I have other acronym for that, but it's a Consumer Protection financing things that they do for the government to put a bunch of restrictions on the loans and all the things that can happen out there. But you can get creative in the way you buy as long as everybody agrees and knows what's happening. That's the beauty of financing. Like I said earlier, if you do have conventional or government financing, some government loans after a certain amount of seasoning will be assumable. What does assumable mean? Well, that means if the homeowners own the house for typically 2 years or more and it has seasoning, someone with qualifications can come in and take over that loan and buy the house. So there's many, many different ways that you can buy a house. Lease option, purchase agreement. You know, you could come in many ways. A lot of people need to fix their credit. So a lease option or a purchase option is a great way to go to get into a house, set the price in advance so you're not going to be paying whatever the price goes up to, which right now I'm going to get into the market and what's happening. There is a drastic change. Interest rates have flattened out and kind of bounced up and down for the last month, which makes it kind of re-energize some of the buyers, but not all the buyers. The buyer demand is down. The thing that is really changing is the builders. The builders are cutting back on their single-family housing starts, and they're looking more towards multiple unit starts, apartment buildings and things like that. And the reason they're doing that is because they know they can only sell one house at a time, and it's affected drastically by the interest rates. Whereas you have a long-term rental property of 500 units, 200 units, whatever, it's not going to be affected by that. It's a project, and it's going to be affected by the return, which means the rents. So where do I see rents going? I see rents staying high. I do not see rents changing at all for the near future. In California, we're still, I had one of my clients called me up and he said, hey, I got to get out from under this rental. They want to bump it another $400, and they just bumped it 6 months ago. You got to check with your local state, wherever you're at, as far as the amount that people can rent hike. That's something you want to learn. But it's so much better to own than it is to rent, because if you own, you get tax write-offs, okay? Your rent will never go up. So that's why you need to get into ownership. And the other reason I think that we need to get into ownership is, here's a report that I saw the other day from one of the biggest holders of real estate holdings in the country. This company is called Blackstone. Blackstone owns a lot, and what they did is they sold a lot of their assets and started another fund. What does that tell me that they're doing? Their fund that it went up 48% over their previous fund the last time. That means that this Wall Street company is putting together funds so that they can purchase again. Did you know that right now about 22% of all homes in the country are owned by these Wall Street companies? Yeah, they're the ones that bought it all up last time from the banks and turned them all into rentals. When the last market turned down and they came in and they had the TARP money, all that money from the previous problem, they didn't have to get rid of assets like banks are supposed to do. They're supposed to get rid of their assets and only have so much bad debt. They didn't do that this time because they had government TARP money, $800 billion for some of these banks. So they did not have to liquidate those bad loans, those bad homes, and they were converted over to derivative and pretty much crashed the country financially. Well, they sat on those homes, and then companies that were hedge funds with all their money came back in and went to the banks directly and said, we'll buy those homes 10,000 at a time. And they bought a lot of houses and turned them into rentals. The builders stopped building. The hedge funds bought all the houses and turned them into rentals. Therefore, it took 10 years for the builders to start building again. The builders are building like mad, but they're pulling their housing start permits and deals permits. So that tells me that the market's going to change. The builders are wise again this time. They're slowing things down. Buyer demand on the new houses has slowed down dramatically. And just so you know, the price drops of all existing properties that are on the market nationwide is roughly 33%. 33% of all homes that are on the market have dropped their price. That's pretty incredible. I know everybody was getting crazy and just making up prices and putting it on the house, and people were coming in and fighting over it and putting an offer after offer after offer. I did one where I had, just 6 months ago, I did one where I had almost 30 offers on the property. 30 offers on the property, and that has slowed down. And this is a report from Realtor.com dated July 21st. And this is for the 2 weeks, and that's what I like about some of these, Redfin and Realtor.com, because they update it on a much more micro, quick system. They don't go back. You'll get data that's only a couple weeks old as opposed to a month over month or year over year. Okay, so it's really important to see what's going on. But as far as they said, that there's a housing inventory is up 29%. So you got housing inventory up 29%. You got listing inventory where price drops are 33% of all homes on the market have dropped price. So single family builders are doing that. Zillow said that they downgraded their expectations and their forecast that sales will be down. They said that they're going to see a decrease in sales for this year of 10.8%. They also said that the forecast of appreciation for properties for the next 12 months is only going to be about 7.8%. And again, this is actually locally. You got to check your local market. You got to check out what's going on in your neighborhood. This is regional. So do your homework based on where you're at. But if you want to learn more about all this stuff, we have resources. We have all kinds of things at International Wealth Builders Association.com meetings. So go on International Wealth Builders Association.com and become a member. And you can get a hold of me at realtymavericks.com or my coaching company at megalithic.us if you want to get a hold of me and have me speak at any one of your meetings or groups. I'd be happy to do that. But come join us at a meeting. And another thing I need to mention is on the 27th in Temecula, we're having our ribbon cutting and meeting in Temecula. So come to the Southwest Riverside Association of Realtors in Temecula on the 27th at 3 o'clock for our ribbon cutting, and stay for the meeting afterward. We're going to have refreshments and a little bit of food. Again, this is Patrick Hunter. I'm your host for the International Wealth Builders Association.com, and we'll be right back. And I want you to call in at 888. What is my number here? 888-909-1050. That's 888-909-1050.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
I love how new school is able to help me greatly with my career.
Because they actually have experience working in the field. The greatest thing about new school is the fact that there are so many different disciplines, which allows you to really understand and get a good insight into different types of design. And I think it's that whole changing mindset of what design can really do for a city, and this is kind of the place to be.
This environment cultivates creative thinking.
Real Men of Real Estate with Steve Matley, construction manager and real estate developer, business owner, and educator.
Did you know that right now there's 22,000 units deficit?
Tunde Ogunwale, real estate development professional, Naval Academy grad, and veteran with a deep understanding of the public sector process.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Brian Fox, real estate expert and investor, dedicated to helping hundreds of clients make money in real estate every year.
There's so much housing going in.
The builders are begging for more land.
Future company can come in, lease up space to employ those people who are living in the homes.
We have to put the housing in place.
That we either have to have houses.
They want to make sure that there's a strong employment.
Logistics centers, things like information hubs. We are a shipping economy now. There's economies all over the country where their prices are doubling and tripling.
Welcome back to the International Wealth Builders Association.com radio show and podcast. If you want to call in with your questions or comments at 888-909-1050. That's 888-909-1050. I'm Patrick Hunter. I'm your host. I am a coach, a trainer, a real estate broker, an investment coach. I'm very, very adept at creative financing and how to put deals together. I call myself a deal engineer. So that means that if it can possibly be done, I'll find a way to do it. And I can't tell you, like some of the deals I talked about that I fixed last year was one of the houses that I sold. The people bought it, and they wrote a contract on it, and they did the termite report, and there was around $7,000 worth of termite work. And at the time, this was only a $350,000 or $370,000 house, you know. So they had every right to walk out of that deal. So what I did is I said, well, why don't we split the difference here? Why don't we do this? Why don't you pay a little bit more for the price, and my client will credit you for some of your financing, and you can use that money for the repairs later on. The guy happened to be a contractor and wanted to do the work himself, which if you're the homeowner, you're more than welcome to do that. If you're the homeowner, you can be your own contractor, you can be your own agent. It's not advisable, but you can do it. Material costs, that's the other thing that's come down if you don't want to do flips and stuff. Not that there's a lot of flips in the area. So many houses have been flipped and redone, it's hard to find a really good deal right now. But and lumber prices were skyrocketed, but they've come down again 40% from where they were 7 months ago. So if lumber has come down 40% and building materials have come down roughly 30% since 7 months ago, the supply chain is still an issue. Getting stuff, I still go to the different stores and see empty shelves. That's things that are also a problem. And one of the things that is not going to go away is the inflation is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. The government Fed Reserve is still going to keep raising rates. And this is my prediction. I'm going to make my prediction right here, right now. At the end of this year, I see interest rates somewhere between 7.5 and 8. So if that happens, you're going to see a big slowdown in the market. You're going to see things happen faster. You're going to see things going crazy. On top of the supply chain, there's a big problem getting additives, I guess, for diesel fuel. I don't know if anybody's heard that, but that means that the trucks are going to be not able to get the diesel they need, which is going to slow down shipping even more. The ports have emptied out, like the Port of Los Angeles. They're pretty much all caught up on that. But all these things are going to affect you as a homeowner, a home buyer. But here's the thing I want to make clear. this last crazy market, people turned their house into a speculative investment. Real estate can be an investment, and it should be. However, it shouldn't be everybody's investment. You should think of your home the way that people used to think of homes, whereas you buy one to live in, and you stay there. The average homeowner stays anywhere from 3 to 7 years. And they say that this next generation of millennials, which I could do 2 shows on the millennials. I have a couple of them myself, and I understand that nobody wants to work in construction. They're so short on construction. If there's any millennials out there that are in construction, give me a call, 888-909-1050. I want to find out what's going on. A lot of the parents that I talk to, they say their millennials don't want to work. They all want to go to college and become social media marketing experts. But you know what? If we don't build things, there's nothing for them to market, right? And if everybody's in social media marketing, who's left to do anything else? So I'd be curious to find out if anybody has any opinions on that. I especially would like to hear from some millennials. If you want to send me an email and tell me what you think about that construction market, why isn't it appealing to the millennials? Why do they not want to go into physical labor jobs? Is this a residual of helicopter parenting? You know, where they said, no, you want to go to college, but they go to college and they pick philosophy. They go to college and they pick social media. They go to college. These degrees that really, they don't have a basis in practical life. Everybody has challenges, and I think that there's a whole different philosophy and mindset out there, and I really am curious. I would like to know from the millennials what this is all about. And just so you know, the millennials are the home buyers now. The millennials are the home buyers. They're a group that is actually way larger than the baby boomers. So they're the ones that are actually buying the houses now. They don't like to do things for themselves. They like to have everything done. My son is a millennial. I taught him how to do all the different trades. I taught him how to do electrical, plumbing, and everything, and he doesn't do it himself. He hires it out. He doesn't want to get his hands dirty. I am confused by that. I don't understand. I did all the stuff for him. But so that's one of the things that's challenging out there these days, is that this world is a little crazier than it used to be. But real estate is still the most solid wealth builder that there is. And you need to think of it as getting your first home, then think about investing. And like I said, there's a lot of creative ways to get you in and out of a house. Again, if you want to get a hold of me, you can send me an email at info@megalithic.us, info@megalithic.us. And make sure you swing by our investment group, which is International Wealth Builders Association.com. We're doing our meeting next Wednesday on the 27th. Come on by for our ribbon cutting with the Chamber of Commerce. That's going to be at 3 o'clock. We're going to have refreshments. And then I want you to stick around for the meeting, and I'll be there, and a lot of our experts will be there that you can personally come and ask questions. That's going to be at the Southwest Riverside Association of Realtor Building in Temecula, California. So if you have any questions, let us know. Get a hold of us at internationalwealthbuildersassociation.com. You can call me or send me an email at info@megalithic.us. My company is Realty Mavericks. I'm a real estate broker licensed in California. 00891-835 is my license number, and you can handle all your questions on real estate investing and get you up and running. Anything from a beginner on up to developers. We want to talk to you. We want you to be part of our group. We want to give you education. International Wealth Builders Association.com. Go there and be a member while it's still affordable. Thank you for having me. I love doing this show for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and get an email out to me at info@megalithic.us. Thanks for having me, and we'll see you next time.